Hello, friend. Welcome to day 4 of our Petite Stitchery & Co. Tristyn leggings sew-along. I'm sorry. I know I sound even worse than I did yesterday. I don't know what's going on. One day I'm okay, the next time not. But we got to keep on keeping on. So I'm excited to do this. Today we are taking and we are creating the different legging pieces out of our color block pieces that we cut out. So if you're doing the color block version, today is your day. If you did the moto with me, look at how awesome that is. You can take and serge down the side of your moto pieces just to keep them all going the same way. I'm not going to do that this time. But one thing to keep in mind is that those moto pieces are now your middle and front B and I believe it's B and C sections. So when referring to those, we need to remember that we have our moto pieces. All right, so let's just jump right into it. I'm really excited to see this all together and put them on. I love this. So first we need to, if you're doing the pocket construction as I am, we need to do the pockets first. So we need to take our color block panel B. So let me make sure I've got this right one. The thigh moto will be color block panel B. So this is the thigh and this is the calf, I believe. Let me just make sure. Yeah, okay. The thigh is a little bit bigger and the calf is smaller. Okay. So what we need to do then is we need to go through our color block pieces and find our pocket pieces. Well, go through all the pieces and find the pockets. I'm pretty sure I labeled them all, but goodness, there's a lot of them. Okay, that's front. Don't fall. Middle. Back. It should have been right up close, but I don't know what I did. Okay, here's the pocket bag piece, and then here's the other pocket piece here. We'll need the thigh piece. There's so many pieces. All right, so let's add in this other camera really quick. There we go. Okay. What we need to do is we need to place our pocket bags, place the pocket facing right sides together with the thigh piece. So here's our pocket facing here. So we're going to place it right sides together like that. So here you can see my moto piece is up, and then you've got the right side of that. And we're going to just sew or serge along this curve here using a 3/8" seam allowance. Okay. So if you're using a regular sewing machine and not a serger, make sure that you're using a stretch stitch. So you can use a lightning stitch, you can use a triple stretch, or a zigzag stitch, whatever you prefer. You just want to make sure that there's some good stretch to it because you are going to need to stretch with these to get them on without the seams popping. So that's always important when using stretchy knits or any stretchy fabric that you use. Use a stretch stitch. Okay, so here's what it'll look like once you do the top there. And we need to do both sides. So this other one. I do recommend pinning or using clips if you feel like it. I don't do those ever, even in quilting. But it does help if it's kind of a slippery fabric. All right, now what we need to do is we need to fold them so that they're wrong sides together now. And then we're going to, you can either top stitch along here using a twin needle or a cover stitch or just a regular sewing machine as well. You don't need a special needle. Or what you can do is you can come through and understitch. So what you would do there is you would take your seam allowance and turn it towards your pocket facing, and you would just stitch along the seam allowance to the pocket facing. And what that does is that would just hold that pocket facing, the seam towards the pocket so that it's hidden. So I'm going to use my cover stitch. I have a feeling with all these color block pieces, we're going to be going back and forth quite a bit. So after doing the cover stitch pieces for the pocket, I'll probably construct everything and then come back and cover stitch everything once we're done, just so I'm not going back and forth and back and forth. But I like to use a leader cloth when I am cover stitching and I need to start at the beginning of the fabric. That way the cover stitch can connect and lock beforehand. In other words, if I try and stitch it right here, if I try and start right at the beginning of my fabric, my cover stitch isn't really going to pick up until probably about a ½ inch or so in sometimes. And I want to make sure I get a nice clean cover stitch. So I always like to use a leader cloth. You just pull it through and then you just put yours right underneath it. And then I'm going to just chain off a couple more. We got a thread stuck there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm not going to pull it out just yet. I'm going to take this other piece and start right there. That way, again, it's already locked. So it's going to pick up right at the edge of my fabric instead of ½ inch or so in. Okay, now I'm going to make sure my needles are up all the way. Take my purple thing, put it underneath my threads, loosen my tension, pull them towards the front, clip them, pull them towards the back to lock them in, trim them off, and then I'll just trim right there in the middle of those. So now we've got our pocket bag pieces done. And next, we need to sew the pocket facing and the pocket bag together. So we're going to place the pocket facing and pocket bag right sides together. So we're just going to open them up. We're going to take our pocket facing here. Okay, so this is the front of my legging here. And I want to make sure that my pocket facing is going the same way as the front there. So here's the front of my pocket facing, and here's the front of this side. So this one doesn't go together. So I want to make sure that those are correct. In other words, things are going to be a little backwards. So we're going to put them right sides together, and then we're just going to serge along the top edge here. Three-inch seam allowance again, and just like with the pocket facing, if you are not doing, or if you're using a sewing machine, just use a stretch stitch. And you can always go back through too if you're using a stretch stitch and you're worried about the seams not being quite strong enough. You can always go back through and do a zigzag stitch right behind it just to reinforce it a bit. So we got one done. Let's get this other piece done. Again, we're putting the pocket bag or pocket facing right sides, the pocket bag right sides together with the pocket facing. Just sewing along the raw edges here, 3/8 seam allowance. I'm very sorry. Oh man. I keep hoping this sinus infection is going to go away on its own. I might have to go to the doctor. All right, so now we need to lay the pieces right sides together. Go. I need all of these. And then we're just going to baste along the edges here to make sure that they don't slip or move or anything like that. I'm just going to do it with my serger. You can do it if you're worried about cutting anything. You can always turn your serger blade off, or just do it with your sewing machine as well. Sorry. All we're doing is just making sure that when we go to attach it to the front and the back, that things don't slip around. I am going to pin this on the side for the front so that when I do go to attach it, I remember that that's the front since I cut off the mark. Okay. Same thing here on the other side. I'm just making sure to be very careful when I baste this with the serger that I'm not cutting anything off. But then now we have our piece here, and this will be our side A and B piece. So I really like that pocket. We did a pocket on the peg leg leggings, or I did on one of my versions, and I liked it, but the construction is different than this, and I think I prefer this construction because you actually have a pocket bag and it just seems a bit sturdier. That looks pretty cool with the moto patch. So this one missed just a little bit of the pocket, but I'm not too worried because we got most of it. So then I'm just going to pin it because that's my front side. I'm not too worried because we're just basting. So when we actually attach this to the front and the back, we'll get those because the seam allowance will be 3/8 inches. As long as you have the majority in it, it'll be all you're trying to do with this basting is make sure, like I said earlier, that your pockets don't slip around and you're not playing around too much with it when you're. Here's our pocket piece. That's a nice pocket. It's an awesome deep pocket. Okay, so next we so now that we've got our pockets done, that is now going to be our color block side panel A and B. And we need to now just do all the rest of the color block pieces. So, pardon me, we need to do the front, the middle, and the back all separately. And then tomorrow we'll put them all together. So what I'm going to do right now, here is a waistband piece. I have them all separated into, this is another waistband. So my waistband and my gusset are here. I won't need those pieces today. This is my knee. I won't need that today, I don't think. We've got back C, back C, back C, back B, back A. So here's our back pieces. Middle D. That's A, B. So this is probably middle C here. Oh, wait, no, that's B and C. No, A and B. Okay, so that's front B. Here's middle C. Every time I hear that, I think of music. Middle C. Here's front A, front B, and then here's probably the rest of it. Okay, so let's do the middle first, since we are already working on that with our pockets. So I think I cut. No, it's right. Okay, sorry, got distracted. So now we have A and B with our pocket piece. So we need to add C to it. And again with C, we've got, so this is the front, and here's the front of this piece here. We made sure to clip it so we remembered. So that's not the correct one, but this one is. And what we're going to do is we're just going to put it right sides together with the bottom of our A and B panel piece. And then 3/8" seam allowance, we're just going to attach that. We're going to sew along the bottom, the raw edges. Okay. And I like to just do the same thing over and over. Like if I'm working on one piece, I do it on both sides instead of finishing one side and then doing another. That way, if I make a mistake, I can kind of tell usually early on. So same thing, just matching up those raw edges. All right. Okay, I put the wrong raw edge there. And now that I thought about it, I need to check this really quick because the knee piece is a little different. And I believe okay, yeah. So we hang on. I have to skip to step 12. Oh, okay. Okay, so yeah, I did this incorrectly because I forgot I was doing the full knee. I blame the fuzzy-headedness. Okay, so all we're going to do now is we're just going to seam rip these C pieces off. So I apologize about that, and I will make sure to note that in the video. The nice thing about seam ripping sergers is you just have to pull the needle threads out, and then once those get pulled out, the rest just follows. So I was always worried about that with Serger pieces. Is like, oh my goodness, seam ripping it is going to be a nightmare. And sometimes it is, but sometimes it cooperates with me and I appreciate it very much. You just have to make sure you pull the right threads. I apologize for the sniffles. This one's not going to cooperate with me as nicely as the other one did. There we go. Okay. Sorry. I just forgot that I was doing the full knee for a second. So what we need to do then is, instead of working on these side panels, we need to get A prepped first. So we're going to put, I wonder if I didn't need C, since we'll find out. All right, so let's get A. We've got the part that we cut on the fold, and we need to attach B to it. So the mark on this one is for down, so we're going to attach like such. So making sure that the mark for this means that it's the bottom of the piece. So we're going to put these right sides together, making sure the bottom of the mark to point the bottom is then pointing to the top, which I know seems counterintuitive, but because it's the right sides together, it's folded up. So we're going to attach that along the raw edges, 3/8" seam allowance. See, that's what happens to me when I'm like, I can do this. I don't need instructions every time. Okay, same thing to the other side. We're going to put the front A and front B piece together, making sure that the bottom marking is pointing towards the top now, since the right sides together, and then along the short raw edges, using a 3/8" seam allowance. So now our A piece will look like this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and top stitch that seam down. When I color block, I really prefer to top stitch the seams. It just gives it a little bit of a cleaner look, and they don't want to pop up as much. So I'm just going to, I think, do it this way. Okay, same thing to the other side. Right, those needle threads fit. Clip them, bring them to the back to lock them in, trim them. Let's just cut our leader thread off, or leader. Okay. You can also do reverse cover stitching if you wanted, where you, instead of having the cover stitch, the chain stitch be on the back, you put it on the front and then the needles in the back. I saw some of the testers did that, and it looked really cool, especially if you do it in like a contrasting color. But every time I do things like that, it never works out the way I want it to. All right, next what we need to do is we need to place the middle AB right sides together with the front AB. So we've got our front piece marked here, and we're just going to make sure they line up. So what we want to do is then just kind of pin along. I'm going to pin this one because I'm not sure that my lengths are correct. Oh, yeah, they are. my moto panel piece was folded a little bit. So I was like, oh no, that's not right. So, all right. We just want to make sure then that when we put these together that everything's lined up, we're not stretching anything. Everything's laying the correct way. Okay. We're just going to sew along the side. Here we go. I didn't pin it there, so that's why it's blowing out a little bit. Okay. So we're just going to sew along the raw edges along the side, up and down here. 3/8 seam allowance. I might have to stretch just a little bit, but we'll see. Just making sure all my raw edges are right up next to each other. I want to make sure my pocket's laying nice too. I don't want it folded up when I sew it down. So now you should have a piece that looks like this. You've got your side here with your pocket and your front B. And now we just need to do the same thing to the other side. Because I have the moto, I do need to stretch just slightly, not too much. Okay. 3/8 seam allowance. We're going to do the same thing, just sewing along this edge here where the raw edges of the front and the middle panel meet. Just again, making sure all my raw edges are lined up and not. Right, so now we've got our front and side pieces lined up. You can go through now and top stitch this side if you wanted. I don't really like top stitching the sides. Every time I do it, I mess it up. So it's up to you. If you want to top stitch, you totally can. I'm choosing not to top stitch the side pieces. I'm happy with how it looks when it's not top stitched. So, but you definitely can. It wouldn't be hard. Okay, I keep thinking about it and I need to just not. Nope, we're not doing it. Right, so now we need our knee pieces. This seems awfully big. What am I doing wrong? Okay, because now we need to place the back panel A. So I'm sorry. Just telling you all kinds of wrong things. So we need to place back panel A on it as well now. So we need to place back panel A, right sides together, on the back part of our moto panel. So if you're not doing a full knee patch, it's a little different. You would just do the 3 pieces and you'd use A, B, C, D. But since we did the full knee, it's slightly different, and that's okay. So we're just going to line the back panel right sides together with the side panel, making sure that the booty seam is facing the front seam. So using 3/8" seam allowance, we're just going to sew along that raw edges to attach those pieces. Okay, then we just need to do the same thing to our other side. That other back piece. I know I have 2 back pieces. Here we go. I'm like, no, I don't know where I put it. Okay. So again, we're just going to match raw edges together. So the straight edge of our back piece is going to go to the side panel. And then we're just going to sew along this edge here at 3/8" seam allowance. Again, if you want to top stitch that, you can. I'm not going to. But so you should have now a piece that looks like this. And now that knee panel piece will be big enough. So we're going to take our knee panels. Okay. So the smaller mark on the side is for the front, and then this mark on the bottom here is telling me, so here I've got smaller mark here, that's telling me it's for the front. This is telling me it's for the bottom, and I did mark the back on this one. So I know then that this knee goes to this piece like this. So we're going to put them right sides together. And we're just going to sew along this raw edges right here to attach those 2 pieces. And we just need to do the same thing to the other side. Making sure the bottom of our bottom marking, since they're right sides together, our bottom marking is going to be facing up, our back marking is towards the back, and our front marking is towards the front. And then just sew along the raw edge here, 3/8" seam allowance. I'm so sorry for all the sniffles. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to top stitch this one because it's a color blocked piece. And I'm going to top stitch it so that the seam is towards the top of the garment. This in. I use my leader cloth. Didn't quite do it correctly. Oh well, we'll fix that. I didn't have my fabric close enough to the needle, so it didn't pull it. It was my fault. But it's a quick, easy fix. Oh darn. When I fixed it, I pulled my needle thread out. So now I just gotta fix it again. Okay. Let's try take 2. Or 3, I guess it would be now. That would explain why that didn't pull. Just gonna quick pull these stitches out if I can find them. Okay. All right. Now we can hopefully do this. Got some extra threads here. I'm just going to snip off while I see them. And then I'm just going to chain off a couple. Do the next one. Just trying to make sure that my seam is all facing the same way. I want it all facing towards the top. Otherwise, it's going to get kind of wonky, which I think I did a little bit on that. I think it flipped on me over there on that other piece. We'll see in a second. Great. Let's pull those threads to the front. And just separate pieces. So that one looks good. And then let's see this other one. Yeah, I think it looks good. Okay. All right, now that we've put the knee in, we are going to do the rest of the panel pieces kind of differently as well, because instead of building on that same panel, we need to build around. So middle D, I must not have needed the middle C piece. Whoops, I'm guessing those are the other knees. Okay. Let's see, I didn't need this one for that pocket. All right, so we're going to take the middle D and the middle, or in the front C, and we're going to put those right sides together. Like such. This is the front. I'm just trying to see which way. I mean, I would assume it would just go like this. I didn't mark the front side to these, so I'm going to look ink. Let's see if that's unfolded in there. Oh wait, I think this is my front C. Forgot. I did the moto. Okay, so I think it's fine. They're both the same. So we're going to put right sides together, making sure that I got a lot of extra pieces on accident. So we've got the marking for on our middle D piece, saying it's towards the front. So we want to make sure the front panel piece, the front C, or if you did moto like me, the front moto piece is on the same side as that marking. And then we're just going to sew the raw edges together at 3/8" seam allowance. Then we're going to do the same thing to the other side. Make sure right sides are together and that our front marking piece on our side, or our middle panel, is attached to, or is on the same side as the that we're attaching the front panel piece. 3/8" seam allowance, just sewing, matching those raw edges. Okay, and then I'm going to go through now and I'm going to top stitch. Actually, I'm not going to top stitch that seam down because these are the side pieces, so I'm not going to top stitch them. All right, now we need to put, I must not have needed back B, that must be the other knee. I blame it on that. I'm being foggy on this cold. Okay, so our back pieces we need to then put together with our back here, making sure that this curved piece. So just as a example, so when it's attached, this is going to go like this. So, okay. So just like this kind of curves out a little bit or angles out a bit, we want this side to angle out a bit as well. So the straight side we're going to put with our side panel. And then we're just going to match right sides together. And then so 3/8 inches along the raw edge here. Right, so now you should have a panel that looks like this with your middle front. Oh, goodness gracious. I attached my back to my middle or my front. Okay. Moving on. Need to attach. So, golly gee. I gotta seam rip this part because I attached to the front. Now it's opposite. It's the wrong side. Why did somebody stop me? I normally don't have to do this so much. Come on, friend. We got this. I'm so sorry. I'm trying my best. I promise. I can tell my fever's coming back. It's okay, because I'll finish this, and then I'll put them on and go spend the rest of the day in bed. Yay! Well, I guess I've got to finish the rest of it, put them together, but that won't be very hard. That won't take long at all. Come on. Again, this is where like the magic of editing would be nice. I could just edit through this. I did not seam rip. I don't know what you're talking about. I did not seam rip 2 pieces. So So I'll make sure to note, don't add the color block C pieces, and make sure you pay attention to what side you're putting your back piece on when you're attaching it to the I'm fine, we got this. Super close. So, I guess a quick demonstration of serger seam ripping without a seam ripper. Yeah, basically all you want to do is you want to just grab those needle threads and just pull them out, and then the rest just unravels. So sometimes when it's a longer piece like this, the needle threads are a little bit harder to get all the way through, but they'll come. Just have to be patient. And then all I do is kind of just like when I gather, I just take one at a time and just kind of put the rest of the fabric through it. Just kind of move the fabric along it instead of really pulling the thread. This one is not a needle thread though, so I think I just locked the other stitch in. But hopefully pulling this one out will get the other ones. There we go. I locked that stitch in. It's okay. The joys of sewing. I don't know about y'all, but I feel like I've done more seam ripping in the month of January than I have in my entire sewing experience. I don't know what's up with me. I think I'm getting a little too confident in my skills, maybe. I just gotta get this other half. There we go. Phew. I'm so sorry about that. Okay. Now that we're back on track. Whew. All right. So this is the one that'll go on here then. And then this is the one that'll go on here. Oh, okay. Pardon me. All right. Now let's attach these raw edges together. We're going to attach the right side. I apologize. Hopefully you were paying close enough attention that you were like, no, that's your front, not your middle. We're almost done though. Here. This is actually for how many pieces there are. This is actually going pretty well. It's an hour, but that's okay. All right, now we need to attach these to our knee piece. So this is our front here. The moto panel is our front, so we're just going to make sure that we have it correctly. So the front is going to be towards the front, the back towards the back, and we just need to match those raw edges up and then sew along this bottom part here at 3/8 seam allowance. Okay, and the same thing for this other side here. Oh, phew. I was like, oh no, don't tell me I did it again. I didn't. So right sides together, so the ankle will be pointing towards the waist. We're just going to match those raw edges and then sew along the bottom here at 3/8 seam allowance. Good. This looks like the brush probably isn't. It's not slippery at all. Okay. Now I am just going to top stitch that down, and then we've got our color block panels are all done, and then tomorrow we will attach them, add the gusset, and put the waistband on, and then we're all done. Tomorrow should be a quick, easy day. That's not bad at all. And I don't think there's any top stitching tomorrow either, so that helps. So I'm actually going to top stitch the knee so it looks like it's more enclosed. So the one I top stitched up, and this one I'm going to top stitch down. The seam. This other side now. threads to the front, snip those, bring them to the back, lock them in, and well, we are done with today's part of our color block. I'm covered in thread. But here we have now our fully formed pieces in color block. So tomorrow is going to be super easy because we just have to put them together. We just have to put them together now and add our waistband. Oh, that looks awesome. Look at this pocket, it's fabulous. But yeah, tomorrow we just have to put them together, put our gusset on, put our waistband on, and we're done. So yay! I cannot wait to see yours. So if you've done the color block version, please share a picture of it in the comments. I'd love to see it. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye.